So let's continue with petition 329/2020 presented by Virginia Fiume from Italy on behalf of Eumans and others on empowering the EU to address global challenges from COVID-19 to social, economic and climate crisis. The petitioner is present. She has sent a PowerPoint to the members of the committee. So I would like to thank her for doing that. We received that PowerPoint yesterday. I want to welcome Ms. Fiume. The petitioner has 5 minutes to present her petition, and then we'll pass the floor to the European Commission and then to the members of the Petition Committee, and then you will have 2 minutes again to conclude your petition. So, welcome to the committee.
Also known as You Can Do It. The petition was officially submitted on the 24th of March 2020. 70,000 people from all EU countries signed it. Mayors of cities from the Mediterranean to Transylvania signed it. Palermo, Porto, Krakow, Cluj, Siesn, Excel, Bitonto. Together with several civil society organizations, I also speak on their behalf. You can see some of these European citizen faces in the link to the face petition that we sent you yesterday. These are citizens who put their trust in the institution you represent in one of the darkest moments of recent European history. A moment that can become a leap forward for the future of Europe. I'm here, or I'd rather say we are here, with trust and respect to reinforce your role as the most open and transparent parliament in Europe. So open and transparent that our citizens can sit here at the heart of European democracy to ask you to accelerate the potential of the role of initiative that Parliament can play for this crisis and for future crises. Over these last very difficult months, different countries have responded in different ways to the sanitary emergency with different outcomes. We believe that the EU should work for a future in which she, as a whole, has a leading role in multilateral decision-making. I will present the content of the petition, but I will also ask you for an active role in promoting a follow-up through a parliamentary initiative. Our objective is that the competent committees, notably AFCO, ENVI, ECON, and in due course the plenary of the Parliament, discuss and take a position on the issues that we propose to your attention that have to do with the democratic reform of the EU and its ability to answer to challenges such as COVID-19, climate change and democracy. We believe that the European Parliament needs to take a much more visible and leadership role in this discussion that is directly affecting all of us. And of course the Commission should also be involved in this discussion. We are very keen that the European Parliament opens a public and participatory discussion on the consequences of COVID-19, on the composition and agenda of the Conference on the Future of Europe, in order to include issues concerning the reform of the treaties and to allow a large participation of citizens, also by using new methods and technologies. When we launched the petition, we focused on 5 essential pillars that we thought are essential for a reform of the European Union. If COVID-19 taught us something, it is that collaboration and cooperation are the keywords for a management of fragilities and emergencies that doesn't leave anyone behind. Not a Hungarian or Polish citizen losing her democratic rights, nor a person from any other member state losing her health, her job, her safety. Cooperation, collaboration. The proposals put forward in our petition are also intended to urge the EU to come to the rescue of those international organizations and treaty bodies that are under attack, starting from the World Health Organization, which needs resources and structural reforms not to be dismantled. The petition asks you to go ahead with the organization of the Conference on the Future of Europe. It might seem counterintuitive, but if we don't use this opportunity to build upon the relationship of trust between citizens and institutions, we might not have another chance to be Europeans. Today is the coronavirus, tomorrow, or rather yesterday, it will be ice caps shrinking, deserts expanding, ocean levels rising and species disappearing. Each of these realities has a structural impact of the ecosystem in which we live. Today, global institutions are more necessary than ever to pursue the welfare and well-being of billions of people. They are the custodians of the international rule of law and the full protection and promotion of universal human rights. Incidentally, these are the founding principles of the European Union. In a moment in which some member states are reneging them, it is crucial for the EU to play a leading role in protecting them and making them work for international peace and security. We hope the Parliament, thanks to this fruitful cooperation between citizens and institutions, will take a leading role to put a reformed, stronger and more democratic EU at the centre of a global system of governance for future pandemics and challenges. A parliamentary resolution in this direction will be of utmost importance, and a parliamentary resolution that blossoms from the dialogue between the Parliament and its citizens can be historical. EU can do it, EU should do it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Now has the floor Martin Seychelles of DG Santé of the Commission. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. Yes, so honourable members, first of all, I'd like to thank the petitioner for providing me with an opportunity to briefly explain what the Commission is doing to help address this unprecedented crisis, and it links, of course, very much with many of the aspects the petitioner was mentioning. First of all, I would like to start by saying that the Commission is coordinating a strong European response to COVID-19, and this response is, as it has to be, multi-sectorial. It is, of course, about health. This is fundamentally a health crisis, but it is also about civil protection, about economic recovery, and about global action, which is something the petitioner rightly emphasized. COVID-19 has illustrated, if anyone doubted that before, the paramount role that health plays in our societies and in our economies, and it underpins our societies. And it has also revealed to everyone that our health systems were not prepared in all respects to face this challenge, and we need to invest more, particularly in areas like primary care, prevention, and others. On health, the Commission's role is to help Member States coordinate their national responses to COVID-19. This is being done under the European decision on serious cross-border threats to health, and we have already mobilized all the mechanisms available. We frequently convene the Health Security Committee to facilitate information sharing about national measures to contain COVID-19. And recently also, a discussion has started about the gradual de-escalation of those measures. We have also launched accelerated joint procurement procedures for key medical equipment, including protective gear for health workers, very important, but also for ventilators and laboratory equipment. In the light of this, the Commission has put all remaining allocations from the 2020 budget, an amount of 2.7 billion euros, to the Emergency Support Instrument, with all of this going to finance health system needs, equipment, supplies, and scaling up of testing and treatments. We're also participating in the global race towards a much-needed vaccine, which is the only way we can put this definitively behind us. And we have already secured just under 50 million euros from the Horizon 2020 program for research on COVID-19, and of course other initiatives will follow in this respect. Now, regarding the protection of EU citizens, the Commission has been delivering from the start of the crisis via the EU Civil Protection Mechanism. We have facilitated more than 260 repatriation flights, bringing home more than 53,000 EU citizens stranded abroad. We have helped Member States provide in-kind assistance and expertise to each other, which is a great example of European solidarity. And in addition, we have started stockpiling key medical equipment, creating a first-of-its-kind rescEU stockpile. COVID-19 is not just a health crisis, as I have said, and first and foremost, it has also caused a major shock to European economies. And this calls for a visionary strategy for economic recovery. And here as well, the Commission is taking action on all fronts. Large emergency packages have already been launched, and together with the other institutions, we are working on a comprehensive recovery plan, including a recovery fund. Resources will come from the overall EU budget via a solid reinforcement of the multi-annual financial framework, which is currently being revised. We want to kickstart European economies after the crisis and at the same time, and I would like to emphasize this, deliver on other priorities, such as the digital and the green transition. Moreover, the Commission has made available all remaining financing under the structural funds for the fight against COVID-19 under the Coronavirus Response Investment Initiative. This is more than 37 billion euros in total, which is available to EU member states this year through exceptional, flexible and accelerated procedures. A second Coronavirus Response Investment Initiative has introduced extraordinary flexibility and simplification in the implementation of cohesion policy and included changes to the European aid to the most deprived, to ensure that the most deprived, including homeless people and others, can continue to receive material assistance in a safe environment. Member States can use their country-specific allocations to mitigate the economic consequences of the crisis, for example, to support their economies, their health systems, their working population, or small and medium enterprises. In addition, the European Globalization Adjustment Fund can be used to support workers who have permanently lost their job because of COVID-19. But as the petitioner reminded us, global action is also needed. The Commission supports the World Health Organization to boost preparedness, prevention and containment of COVID-19, and we need to pay particular attention to countries with fragile health systems. On the 4th of May, therefore, we will, together with WHO and other global health organizations, kickstart a global pledging effort, the Coronavirus Global Response, to close funding gaps, which we estimate to be around 7.5 billion euros. Honourable members, dear petitioner, this is indeed a moment of truth, and we need to ask ourselves, despite all our efforts, whether we are doing enough. Of course, we are all aware the EU has a limited mandate in health, and the Commission can only step in to a certain extent. And COVID-19 shows us that there might be a need, there could be a need to strengthen this mandate. And we must certainly discuss at an opportune time how to better deal with emergencies in the future. And the great opportunity for this will indeed be the Conference on the Future of Europe, which will be held under due consideration to the current situation. The time will come, and I hope soon, when we will be looking forward again, and at that moment, the lessons learned from COVID-19 have to be central to our efforts, and it will be our responsibility to offer a perspective for the future of the EU and to give EU citizens a clear say in decision-making beyond participation in the European elections. So the Commission believes that it is really important that in the light of all this, we discuss political priorities as well as the strategic agenda of the European Council, and that there should be a robust feedback mechanism so that all ideas expressed are taken into account. We should also discuss, as the petitioner has also emphasized, the importance of the role that citizens play in not only speaking up but also being listened to. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. We have 11 MEPs hoping to participate on this petition. It's 11:30, however, and we still have a petition to get through, and we have to finish at 12, and we also have to vote and announce the vote. So I will give the floor to the coordinators and members of the Bureau of the Petition Committee. So first, I'll give the floor to Ms. Yana Toom.
Veo que la señora...
It seems that Ms. Yana Toom is not connected. So, I'll pass the floor to Mr. Saliba.
So, first of all, I would like to thank the petitioners for tabling this very detailed, very comprehensive petition to the European Parliament in response of the COVID-19 global crisis and also its social consequences. I would like to thank the members of the Petty Committee and the Commission present here today to address this important issue to find a common solution which would work in favor of our citizens during the COVID-19 crisis. Now, more than ever, we need European solidarity in order to act together to tackle this crisis. This is true, that the virus does not discriminate. It's not discriminating also between different member states and our economies. But we have some member states and some economies which are being hit in a different way. Therefore, we, as socialists and democrats, have to make sure that no member state is left behind in these difficult times. The shutdown of many EU countries demonstrates also the importance of having sophisticated digital infrastructure to keep our economies, our societies running, at least at basic level. Digital services have enabled many people to at least continue during these troublesome times to live their life as normal as possible. But I think that we should rise to the opportunity that we have right now also to champion digital technologies that are developed, deployed, and used in compliance with a set of ethical principles that fundamentally reflect also the European and our European values. The EU response should not undermine our efforts to regulate the digital world and create a level playing field for the platform economy and the offline economy. The EU response to this crisis should ensure that it helps consumers and their rights must be maintained, especially in the tourism and travel sector. The European Commission should consider all available resources to help consumers and help our industries to overcome the current challenges that we have in this extremely important sector, especially for a number of our member states. With regard to mental health, this is also another issue. Mental health issues are on the rise right now, and this is also a challenge with new labor conditions, such as physical and psychological effects that teleworking is leaving on our workers. Therefore, it is really important to touch upon important topics such as the right to disconnect, the surveillance at work, and the intensification of work that are being accelerated due to this crisis. It is important to preserve all working conditions and social rights. Therefore, I must again, before I conclude, thank the petitioners for this petition, and I urge the Petty Committee to leave this petition open, but not only to leave this petition open, but to act upon this petition also with a resolution to be tabled in front of the Petty Committee to follow up with all the other responsible committees within the European Parliament, because this is a horizontal petition which is touching many aspects, and it is impossible to touch upon all the issues being raised in this petition just in one brief intervention.
Gracias.
Thank you. Now let's try again, Ms. Toom. So she has requested the floor again. Let's see if we can make contact with her again. Ms. Toom.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can hear
Hello?
you. Yes, we cannot see you.
Hear me. Great, thank you. Okay, I believe now you can also see me. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So I will speak on two petitions, but very briefly. I'm sorry for previous one. It was issue with connectivity. In fact, I was there, but you've seen it under the name of my phone, so you couldn't recognize me under the name of Honor 20. But coming to this petition, I fully support previous speaker. I believe that we just cannot close any COVID-related petition due to the fact that it will send absolutely wrong signal. What is bad in this case that, there were a big amount of all kinds of reports concerning European health system. Just to mention one into it was European Observatory of Health System and Policies with huge report about possible risks and challenges of European health system. And all the measures which were listed now by a representative of the Commission were there, and nothing happened. And this is really, really bad. You are absolutely right. Our, European mandate to intervene into these issues is too small. We cannot do much, but I believe that we have to keep this kind of petitions open and to have an eye on them during the whole period of working of Conference of Future of Europe. And it is exactly what was said by Madame Ždanoka concerning previous petition, all this border issue. For instance, in Estonia, our people were standing in line on Polish border for 70 hours, locked in their cars with no toilets, no water, no food, no nothing. And then there was agreement between prime ministers that they will let people in, but finally they changed their mind, and it was a disaster. And now, in our countries, in Baltic states, which were basically cut off from European Union for several days, I believe that it will reflect in just rise of Euroscepticism. What I want to say, I'm in favor of keeping these and previous petitions open during the period, at least, of work of Conference of Future of Europe, for this is the place from where the people working on this future in Europe can have a real good impact for their work. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Gancia from the ID group has the floor.
Thank you for this opportunity. I will speak in my language, I will speak in Italian. Thank you, President. Esprimo il mio sostegno.
I support the petition, and I hope it will be sent to the AFCO and ENVI and ECON committees and to very quickly be voted on in plenary on a parliamentary resolution. A strong point of this petition is that although it comes about in an unprecedented serious health crisis situation caused by COVID-19, it has 5 pillars which I feel are crucial for a radical reform of the European Union and which are long-term too. Allow me to say that it is particularly important to strengthen cohesion mechanisms when it comes to managing crisis, because unfortunately, as everyone has seen, the first response by the Union to the health emergency was weak, and it showed a real lack of coordination among member states. In Europe, we represent institutions and citizens, and we must ensure that this cannot happen again. Next time, the risk is that it will be even more fatal. In addition, it's extremely important that we focus on the Conference on the Future of Europe. We must focus on that, because the Conference on the Future of Europe is really a call to alarm now. We see what's at stake, the very survival of the Union itself, and we must all be up to the task. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Ahora tiene la palabra la...
Thank Ms. Cristina Maestre from the S&D Group, please.
Buenos días.
Good morning. In the petition, the current system is analysed and it shows weaknesses. I think the greatest weakness is the lack of unity and solidarity in such difficult times like this one. We understand that there should be a more rapid response than that given at the start, particularly as regards such a complex issue. I think the EU must ensure that its measures are accompanied by a whole range of other measures so that we can deal with the difficult situation that we're facing. We must also ensure that we can prevent or at least stop the economic adverse effects that will occur. We can't have any excuses, and we can't use this crisis as an excuse to move backwards on issues such as equality, the rule of law, etc. So we must call for firmness and for support of an economic development model which is sustainable and which is green, in line with the green package, and which does not go against citizens' interests. The EU's role is now central, and this conference on the future of Europe is crucial in that regard. I think we will have to go into more depth on this debate. So I certainly welcome this initiative. And I think we should transfer all of these responsibilities to the committees in question, the relevant committees. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Ahora le...
Thank you. For 1 minute, because we have very little time, I'll now pass the floor to Mr. Thomas Vines from the Greens Group.
Thank you, Chair. It's not going to happen in 1 minute, but I will be as fast as possible so the translators can translate. I thank the Commission for that substantial and contentful statement, and there were some key messages. One of the key messages is how key for Europe the healthcare systems are, and that we witness now how important they are. And now, I mean, where are all the members that were lobbying or supporting the privatization of healthcare systems? Where are all the ones that were supporting austerity measures that led to underfunding of healthcare systems? And at the end, this policy led to thousands of dead people. This is a failed political approach, and we need to apologize for that first. In the next step, we need to acknowledge and realize that not having EU competence on healthcare and social issues is making Europe vulnerable as such. It is heavily affecting our economy. It is heavily troubling us internally. So it's not only a question of social equality or inclusiveness, but also a question of economic success and strategic security issues, that we have well-funded public healthcare systems and that we have a certain competence in the union's hand to, exactly in such a situation, combine the efforts and organize a solidaric and well-organized approach and to counter such a crisis. And so I think this need to move on in developing the competences of the European Union, there's no other option than doing that. The next point is the question on taxation that also is tackled by this resolution or by this petition. We also need some common decision-making processes on taxation, because it can't be that companies that were constantly...
Thomas, we don't have time. I'm so sorry. And, just finish 2 seconds, and then I'm going to give the floor to Radan Kanev of EPP, and we have to finish this petition. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to finish in 2 seconds, as all the others before me spoken also did not do so. I'm ready in a second. I'm very quick. Yeah, taxation has to be also decided on the European level. It can't be that companies hide their incomes from any public pocket and then ask for donations from taxpayers' money.
Señor Weitz, quien dirige y...
Mr. Weitz, I am the one chairing over this committee, and I have to end the meeting on time. We only have 2 hours for this Petty Committee meeting. We have to vote, we have to continue voting, we have 4 petitions. This is the third one, and we only have 15 minutes left for ending the committee and for dealing with another petition from another petitioner. So I always try to give as much time as possible to everyone who wants to speak, but when I don't have enough time left, in order to ensure that we can see the other petition at least, I ask members of the committee to be more brief. So please, in 2 seconds, can you please just end? I certainly understand that you want to participate, but there are other members who have also asked for the floor, and I won't be able to give them the floor. I give the floor to everyone or for someone from each political group. So please conclude. Thank you.
Yes, then give everyone 2 or 3 minutes and don't just start with me giving 1 minute. My last sentence is, this is not only making us vulnerable internally, but it's making Europe vulnerable strategically, globally, in the global game, if we're so weak to not even be able to have a common response to COVID-19. I urge us to not only keep the petition open, but to forward it to all the committees and to actively promote these points in the Future of Europe conference.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Radan Kanef, you now have the floor. Please, just 1 minute, Mr. Radan, please.
Thank you. Much less than a minute. I support the colleagues to leave this really long and substantial petition open. I also propose to transfer the petition to the Conference on the Future of Europe because I think a lot of argument in that petition need to be discussed over there. And last, just tell us, is the vote, the final vote, open or not? Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. So we can close on this petition. Now, the proposal is to keep the petition open. I want to thank the petitioner and all those who have signed. And I want to thank you all for your numerous and interesting suggestions. We are going to keep the petition open and transfer for information or even for an opinion to the AFCO committee and to the Conference on the Future of Europe. The coordinators in that way will have an opportunity to ask that this petition, in line with Article 227, could be a motion for resolution. But that will be decided by the coordinators in the future.